everyone! Today we are going to continue our discussion around relations and looking at input values and output values like we looked at yesterday. Remember that the input is the input is the x, the output is the y value. So as we're looking at relations today, we're going to determine if the relation is a function. So you have two vocabulary words that we're working on. Okay, so the first one is a relation, and we know that a relation is just either an ordered pair or a mapping diagram. Oh, I'm sorry, down here. And you match the input to the output. So we're either using ordered pairs or a mapping diagram, and we're looking at the input values and the output values. And I just noticed that yesterday I did not put that there. So today we're going to take that idea around mapping diagrams or ordered pairs, the input and the output, and determine if they are a function. But first we need to know, what is a function? Well, a function is a relation, so either the ordered pair or the mapping diagram, and there is exactly one output for the input. Okay, so a function, we use this in graphing to determine graphs. I don't know what happened there with my N. So functions, I'm going to use a different pink. Here, let's use this one. I think that one's dying. Good thing I have new backup pens. Okay, so this function says that the pairs relations that pair each input, and we know the input is the x value, with exactly one output, which is the y. So your x values will only have one y value. So x will have one y. Okay, so no duplicates. So let's look at what this means when we are when we're graphing this. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight x will have one y. And that's something that's important for us to understand as we're looking at these either mapping diagrams or as we're looking at some ordered pairs. Okay, so let's first create some mapping diagrams. And remember that the mapping diagrams are just like a fancy way to organize your information, your inputs and your outputs. So they will give you some inputs that look like this, -9 and -2, 5, and 12. There's your inputs, and then it has outputs on this mapping diagram, and your outputs here are 0, 5, and 10. So your information is organized here. And yesterday, if you remember, we took these and we used the arrows to create some ordered pairs. So in this mapping diagram, it looks like this. And our job is to determine, is this a function? And how do we know that it's a function? So we're just going to look at our x values. So step 1, look at your x values, which is the input. And if each one has just one output, it's a function. So then we're going to determine How many matches to y values? So here we go. We have -9, it's matched to 0. So far, this is a function. This x has only one y. This x is matched to 5, so this x has one y value. 5 is matched to 10, so this x has one y value. This x, 12, is also matched to 10, so this x has one y value. All of our x values are different, so because they are all different and only match to one output, this is a function. So each x has only one y value. We could put these into ordered pairs and look at just the x values, which we'll do on the next one. Okay, so again, x will only have one y. Our x values here only have one y value. Okay, so let's go ahead and do another example. Again, we're determining, is this relation a function? So is this a function? In this problem, it says that your input values are -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. It's a lot of input values. And then it has your output values. And it has 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 as your output values. And then the arrows are drawn like this. All right, so let's go ahead now and let's start by creating ordered pairs so we can compare our x values, because this is a lot of different lines being drawn. So let's start here. I'm going to start with -2 as my x, and I am going to follow the arrow to 4. So far, so good. One x value, one y value. This x value here is -1, and it follows to 3. So far, we're on a function. This one, 0 to 5. And there's another one here, 0 to 6. It is not a function right now because we have duplicate x's. We have two of the same x value. This one, 1 to 6, that's okay. We're not concerned about the y's. And 2 to 7. So we're concerned about our x values. And when we look at this, these two right here have the same x value. So this is not a function. The x value here has two different possible y's. So because this is 0, 5 and 0, 6, that means you're going to have like a double dot on the 0. And that is not a function. So we're going to look at 2 because it has the same x value. We then had two y values. Okay, let's do another example so that way we can see if we are starting to get the hang of this. All right. So again, we're going to do our input values and our input and output. Oh my goodness, I need more coffee. Okay, so in our inputs here, input values on this one, this diagram says 0, 1, and 2 are our inputs. Our outputs, remember that these are the Y's, these ones are the X's. This one has 4 values in our diagram. It is 2, 4, 6, and 7. And we're just going to follow the lines. So when you look at yours in the book or in your practice work, this will already be drawn for you. And your job is to just determine, is it a function? So first let's identify the ordered pairs. So I'm going to look at this and I'm going to think to myself, okay, which are the ordered pairs? So then I can just look at the values of the X's and the Y's to determine, is there just one or does it match? All right, so this one is 0, 2. This one is 1, 4. This one, we're going to follow that line. It starts with 2, 6, and then 2, 7. Now I need to look at those X values. These two X's are the same. So this one is, this is not a function. Okay, it's not a function because it has two X values that are the same. Okay, let's do another example, and then we can determine if it's a function or not a function, and then you can do a try it. All right, so that was example C, and now we're going to do example D. And in this example, your input-output map looks like this. All right, the -2 matches to a 2. Okay, and our job is to determine, is this a function or not a function? So let's go ahead and look at what we have here. So we have -2 to 2. So far, so good. 1, -1 to 1. 0 to 0. Now we're going to look at all of our X values. Do we have any duplicates? No duplicated X values. So all of our X's were only used once. So this is a function. Only used input one time. Okay, so because we didn't have 2 arrows coming off of this 0, or 2 arrows coming off of our -1, or 2 arrows coming off of our -2, this is a function. Again, remember, you are just looking at the X values and then matching them to the Y values. The only one we care about if it duplicates is on the X value. Okay, it's your turn to do some try-its here. Let's pull those up. Ooh, this try-it has some fractions in your mapping diagram, but that's okay. It works the exact same way. All right, so let me get your diagrams here. So try-it number 1 would look like this. And your outputs here are 2, 4, 7, and 9. And your job is to tell me, is this a function? Is it a function? And then number 2, on number 2, try it. We're looking at the input values here of 2, 4, 6, and 8. Outputs are 6, 3, 0, and -3. And the arrows, the part that's most important. All right, so go ahead and hit pause right now. Determine, are these functions? And tell me why. When you're ready, go ahead and hit play. All right, so this first one, it has one x value that goes to +2, and -1/2 again goes to 4. This one has 2 arrows coming off of the x value, so this one is not a function. And it's not a function because both x values have 2 y values. Okay, again, they have their input has 2 outputs. We only want the input to be used one time. It was used twice. Okay, let's look at this one. 2 to 6, so far so good. 4 to 3, 6 to -3, and 8 to 0. This one is a function. And this one is a function because each input, or the x, has 1 output, which is the y. 1 to 1. All right. Now it is your turn to answer your essential question. How do we determine if the relations are a function? And then go ahead and write your level of understanding out to the side. When you are all finished, you can head on back to the Google Meet and ask for help if you need it. Or you can go and do your practice work. As always, I appreciate all of your hard work and effort, and make it a great day.